What's up, everyone? Unstable Commanders, Tolly with Spit. Today, we are going to be going over some cEDH topics, beginning with budget decks. Fun stuff. But before we do get started, just want to mention here a couple things. If you do like the video, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below for the YouTube algorithm, spread the word, and come follow us on Twitter, or I guess it's now officially called X. I actually saw on the website that it's now x.com instead of twitter.com now.
I didn't even notice that.
It's so weird and dumb. I don't like it.
But
I mean, it's officially the URL is x.com, and follow us at @ucommanders. We are currently doing a giveaway right now with the Fallout Precon Science deck. This is in time for the Modern Horizons 3 Energy Shenanigans that's releasing next month. So come check that out. Alright, without further ado, what we're going to be going over are 3 decks each that we consider as budget. But to keep in mind with everyone out there who plays casual and thinking about going into cEDH, budget does not mean the same as casual. So casual, budget, you could do 50, 100, but budget is cEDH. Spit, explain a little bit more about that.
So, in terms of budget in cEDH, what I consider budget is if you can make a deck that will keep up in most modern metas for less than $1,000. I'd say that's a budget cEDH deck.
Mm-hmm.
If you can keep it below 500 and it keeps up in modern metas, then maybe that's the new meta. But you're not gonna build every cEDH deck for under $1,000 because that's just horrible. A lot of them will be horrible under 1,000, but we're gonna list a few that can be built for under 1,000.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I know some of you guys are thinking, whoa, $1,000, that's very ridiculous when it comes to budget. To be honest with you, there are websites out there. One in particular, if you look up cEDH budget decks, it's like the first thing that pops up. I forgot what it was called, but their ranking with budget is 500, 700, and 1,000. So even with others acknowledging that's how much you at least have to put down, at least 500 for a cEDH deck, then you should know how serious we are when we say this is what budget is with cEDH. But then again, we play in a format that's openly accepting when it comes to proxies, so
yeah, you should not make a worse version of your deck in the name of budget, especially since we're in a format that accepts proxies.
Yeah, so I mean, just proxy away. If people have an issue with it, then don't play with them. Play with us.
Yeah,
we're about to get PC soon to play online gameplay with cEDH, so yeah, more on that later. Alright, Spit. So I'm going to start off with the first deck we're going to go over.
So the first deck that we're going to go over today is actually one of the more budget-friendly ones. It's Godo, Bandit Warlord. It's on my deck list, is on my account on Moxfield, unstable_spit. So it is sitting right above 800. This is pretty much bare bones with all your staples and everything in the deck. You're obviously, you can go a little bit further with this deck. It doesn't have any of the fetches in it. I didn't put any of the fetches in it just to keep it kind of affordable. I didn't want to hit the 900 mark on it. So, yeah, really all you need is just Godo and Helm of the Host and Treasonous Ogre, because Godo is just get to 11 mana and you essentially try and win the game.
Yep. And you could easily do that. I've seen people do it turn 3 without Treasonous Ogre, and with Treasonous Ogre, I mean, even you've seen turn 1 wins with it. And Treasonous Ogre is, how much is that going for right now that you see?
I think it is going for $13.
So it's $13, not that bad for what it does. And you just need that, cast Godo, bring Helm of the Host onto the battlefield, equip it. The likelihood of you being able to do that on turn 1 when you have Treasonous Ogre in any way of getting that mana available turn 1 and someone having an answer in their head right there and there, the probability is very low. Unless they see that there's a Godo on the battlefield and they purposely mulligan until they get a Force of Will in their hand. That is the only way I can see someone actually being able to answer to Godo without dying turn 1. But at that right there, that's just spite. Like that's dumb for anyone to even try to do. But there are people who are like that out there, especially in the competitive field.
Yeah, your goal is to turn 1 Treasonous Ogre, pay the 33 life it takes to make 11 mana, cast Godo, Godo gets Helm is on the battlefield, use the rest of the mana to equip Helm of the Host onto Godo, and then make infinite combats and infinite Godos.
Yeah, isn't a barbarian? It's like a human barbarian. I know it's not a samurai. I always thought it was a samurai.
It's a human barbarian.
Yep. I always thought he was a samurai for the longest time.
See, that's why it doesn't say all other samurai. It just says all samurai.
Yep. Oh, man. All right, so what I have here is another mono color deck. It's blue, and it's Urza Lord High Artificer. This one is much more affordable than Godo, sitting at 541.59, so just like at the mid-term right there, but it does include the fetch lands. The one thing about this deck with Urza is it's a polymorph and only requires 2 creatures. It just requires a Hullbreak Horror and a Tidespout Tyrant. That's it. Your main goal is to get the Urza out, get that construct out, and polymorph the construct to get one of the 2 creatures. You get one of the 2 creatures, you'll be able to get the other one. Done. That's pretty much game over right there. Like I said, it does include some fetch lands, and I know some of you casual players always wonder why monocolored decks have fetch lands. Easy, it really thins out the deck.
It thins out your deck.
The probability of you continuing to get gas over a land when you draw more cards throughout the turn to continue to keep playing is very high if you thin out your deck. And speaking of that, this deck also does include a Mana Severance, which happens to be one of my favorite cards of all time. And what it does is it exiles all your lands from your library. So you could keep using the activated ability of Urza and just keep getting gas and just keep going, like just go turbo on everyone. And they'll pretty much be, at that point, there will be nothing they could do because you literally play everything without paying its mana cost. So you could actually look for your 2 creatures right then and there. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you keep casting everything that's on top of the library. You're bouncing everything. And I believe it's just permanents you bounce.
So Hullbreaker Horror is non-land permanents. Tidespout Tyrant is permanents in general. So you can bounce all your opponent's lands. You can bounce all their artifacts so that way they don't have any mana to do anything.
Yep. Or you could bounce your stuff. I mean, it does come with a lot of 0-drop mana rocks.
Yep.
And
Mox,
even
Amber,
0-drop.
Soul Ring. Mox, Amber, and Soul
Ring. And I mean, the main things that you want to do when it comes to upgrading this deck, better mana rocks for sure. Chrome Mox, is it Mox Opal?
Mox Opal with the Metalcraft.
Yep. And then Mana Crypt. You could add, what's the other 0? Or you could probably add Mana Vault if you want. And you'll be able to just tap it for blue instead of tapping for 3 colors, but it'd be kind of like
I'd probably
dumbish.
Put Mana Vault in there just so that way if you do get Tidespout Tyrant or Hullbreaker Horror in your hand, you can hard cast it.
Yeah, you can do that. Jewel Lotus, of course, even with either one of our decks, Jewel Lotus will be really good with it. Because, I mean...
I already have Jeweled Lotus in Godo, so that price was including Jeweled Lotus. Yeah. You can't play Godo without a Jeweled Lotus.
And that's what we mean about, like, that is actually budget right there. That right there is cEDH budget. And this does include Rhystic Study, Winter Orb, just because with Urza, realistically, you probably only need 2 lands. While the rest could be mana rocks.
Yeah.
You have Urza with a whole bunch of mana rocks and just 2 lands, you'll be able to keep up with everyone on the board. Like, that's how great this deck is. So you could literally have all this, then mana severance to get rid of the rest of your lands, which this does run 29 lands. So you could get rid of all the other 27 lands out of your library and just keep going. And then what you could also do is, upon someone's upkeep, you do have an unwinding clock as well. So you untap all your artifacts, you play something like Born Upon a Wind to give all your stuff flash, and you could try to win on someone else's upkeep. And that right there is always the best feeling ever, when you could win on someone else's turn.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, pretty much anyone who runs Model Blue, the other players in the pod will anticipate it. They will see it, but at the same time, you are running so much counters. Like, this deck alone has 31 instants. 31 instants, I'm going to say it's probably running about anywhere between 15 and 20 counters. So it will have answers. It will annoy the crap out of the rest of the pod. But this is like one of those intro decks that will let you keep up with everyone. Eventually, you want to upgrade it. Either the Demir, that's a good combination.
Yeah.
You could do Azorius to add more stacks piece into it, so a little bit more toward the mid-range area.
You can upgrade it to the new Heliod, the Radiant Dawn, the completed one. That one's actually really good. You can upgrade it to Talion. Talion is a really good control commander.
Talion's a beast of a commander.
And
Jorah, you could upgrade it to her to kind of like get the engine going.
You wouldn't really have to do a whole lot with the deck to change it to Jorah or even Elsha.
Elsha, yeah. I'm actually looking into seeing what we could do to bring Jorah into Elsha, but it's not really. I'm trying to just deproxy Jorah before I do that. All right, cool. Next up, Spit.
So this is the deck that I'm probably most proud of that I put together for this. It's called World Gorger at Home, and it's Rograk and Tevish. So it's a Rakdos World Gorger Dragon combo deck. It's sitting just a hair above 700. And the main goal is just have World Gorger Dragon in your graveyard, Animate Dead, cast Animate Dead, to bring back World Gorger Dragon with a Blood Artist effect on the battlefield. Something that either pings everyone whenever something leaves or enters. So World Gorger Dragon enters the battlefield because of Animate Dead, exiling Animate Dead, causing the Blood Artist to trigger. World Gorger Dragon then leaves the battlefield because the Animate Dead is off of it. Animate Dead comes back, bringing back World Gorger Dragon, presenting a loop.
Yep. And I think it'd be better if you actually have Zulapur Cutthroat instead of
there's
Blood Artist.
All those in here.
Especially when you have when you're dealing with someone who just casted the One Ring, because the One Ring will gain protection. No, I think they still won't be affected, right? Unless.
If they have the One Ring, no, they won't be affected. And
even if it's like
protection, they have protection. If they have an active protection on the One Ring, it won't do anything to them.
Yeah. Okay. So that doesn't work or anything. But yeah, like you could do all sorts of stuff. You could just bring all of it out and be able to work it on. I think there's actually one where I think it has to leave. It has to be on the battlefield. Like World Gorger has to leave. What's that one creature? And it is red. Is it Mayhem Devil?
Mayhem Devil.
Yeah, Mayhem Devil. Yeah.
Yeah, I have Mayhem Devil in here. It's whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a really good one. It stops a lot of stack pieces too. Like, hey, that could go crazy together. I actually like Tevish as well. Tevish is a really fun commander.
I wanted to put Tevish and Rog together just because I thought it was a really fun little color combo, and Rakdos.
And Rakdos is just strong.
If you ever wanted to upgrade this, I would probably go to Ikra Rog.
Yeah.
Just because you're adding green to it, and you can do Blood Pod shenanigans. But...
Or even Timna Rog.
Yeah,
you could do Timna Rog.
Timna Rog, yeah, that's actually a better one. It's more like a turbo World Gorger deck.
Yeah.
Same thing with Timna Jeska.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately, if someone does see a Timna on the battlefield, you are likely going to be eliminated. Everyone's going to likely just target you once they see Timna. But at the same time, Timna is so good especially Timna Crom, it's so good that it actually has ways to deal with that and be able to just win without having to worry about anyone else trying to interact.
Also, Tevish with Crom is also really good.
Yeah.
Because then you have access to your Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation and your Underworld Breach lines.
Yep. So that'll be a fun one. But that will be a fun one. Because that one still does run Underworld, right?
Yes, it runs Underworld just to get Animate Dead out of the graveyard. Just if it gets countered. Yeah. You are running a couple counters in here. Not a lot. You're running Tybalt's Trickery, Pyroblast, and REB.
Yes. And just imagine someone casting a Tybalt's Trickery causing the player to flip over an Adnos. That would be like the most hilarious thing ever. Or they flip over like a Thassa's Oracle and they have like a Demonic Consultation in hand. You're like, oh, well thanks for the win.
I think timing restrictions still apply to Tybalt's Trickery. Actually, this one is not running Tybalt's Trickery.
So I think with Tybalt's Trickery, so if it flips over the Thassas and the Thassas hits the battlefield, you get the ETB, and then on the stack, that's when you...
Yeah, but it says that you may cast it. I don't think... I think it has to, be within timing restrictions.
Because there was one point where someone Tybalt Trickery'd me in, a casual game, and I was actually able to get an Eldrazi Conscription out on the battlefield, not in my turn.
Well, maybe. I'll have to look up rulings on it. I'll put it in the comments.
Any judges out there, let us know. Let us know the answer. Because we sure as heck do not trust our judges here. I'm just saying. Alright, so mine is also 2 colors, Selesnya. It's Sithis, Harvest Hand. Oh, we haven't been saying our titles of our decks either.
Well, I said mine.
Oh yeah, you have. So Urza, the title of Urza is called Bluey. It's under Tile U Commanders. All lowercase, all one word. This one said this is nobody has fun. Absolutely no one's going to have fun. Because it's straight up stacks. It's meant for you to only play the late game with this deck. And so you'll have stuff like Blind Obedience, which you're able to upgrade here later on. You have stuff like Darksteel Mutation. You have stuff like Kenner's Transformation. You have Esper Sentinel. You have Collector Oof. You have all these stack pieces that will pretty much prevent others to play the game. That's the whole point of this, so that way you can make Sithis or make another creature on your side of the battlefield beefy to where it just one-shots people. That's the whole point of this deck right here. And it only runs 6 artifacts. And Smothering Tithe for the treasures. So be wary on the Collector Oof, but at the same time, because you're only running 6 artifacts and the likelihood of you putting Smothering Tithe on the battlefield and it lasting that long, adding Collectors wouldn't be that big of a deal, and it would actually help you more to stopping others to win.
If you're in green and an artifact is not your win con, I say run Collector Hoof. Yep. Run Collector Hoof, or if it is part of your win con, like your Birthing Pod deck, I would run Manglehorn. If you're in white, Dauntless Dismantler. Mm-hmm. Just because, and it's better to deprive your opponent of resources.
This one doesn't have a Dauntless Dismantler. It's like I said, it's just one of those decks where it's hey, nobody's allowed to play.
Okay,
screw you guys.
First upgrades to that deck: Dauntless Dismantler, Elesh Norn.
Yeah. You'll take out Dauntless Dismantler for Elesh Norn? Because I said it's in the deck.
Oh, I thought you said it wasn't in there. I would put Elesh Norn in it, though.
Yeah, Elesh Norn, I would probably take out maybe a Leonor Elves or an Elvish Mystic, just because there is that Orcish Bowmaster that literally wipes an entire color off the format, which I still would say ban that card. Let's be real, just ban it.
Yeah, if Hull Breacher's banned, Orcish Bowmaster should be banned.
Oh yeah, 100%. Considering the fact that Hull Breacher, when you compare the two, Hull Breacher was broken because it just makes others not be able to draw and just stay hellbent. But that's it. Orcish is so good, it literally wiped an entire color from the format. Like, you can't play mono green in cEDH ever.
You have to play the like 2 toughness and above mana dorks.
Yeah.
You can't play any of the 1 toughness mana dorks because they're bad now.
Yeah, and with green, like, really, when you think about green, you're running green with another color, and that other color typically is the more dominant side of it. So you're barely going to even run green at all if you're playing like something like Sithis or even like something that's in Golgari colors. Like, you're rarely going to run green.
I don't know. My Blood Pod deck, whenever I had it put together, that deck was like 43% green.
Was it?
It was like 43% green, 20-something% white, and it was like 13% red, and then it was like 4% black.
I just don't like that card. If anyone ever talks about the next banned card out there, it's going to be Orcish. Like, that'll always be my answer. And it does also have answers to Underworld Breach. There is the Rest in Peace, so it will actually stop a lot of those Breach line combos. So it'll be a good one. It'll be a good start for anyone who wants to be a part of it. And right now the deck is running at 60970 with all the fetch lands and everything like that. If you do look through the lands, of course, there will be a bunch of upgrades that you could do. As long as you're open to proxying a bunch of them, such as the dual lands. But yeah, that's about it. Cool. Last up.
So last one, I tried to keep around a $500 budget, sitting at $563. It's Kinnan. It's called Kinnan Light.
But Light of Kinnan.
It is horrible. I honestly think that if you're building Kinnan this far on a budget, you shouldn't be building Kinnan.
You should just stick to casual if you go that cheap with Kinnan. Like,
this is really just a high-powered casual Kinnan is all this is.
And speaking of high-powered, like, mine is about to be high-powered too. I think it's a lot worse.
Yeah, this is horrible. The only good cards in this deck, I would honestly put more creatures in this if I actually was going to build this. It's running 12, and the only good ones are Seedborn Muse, Thassa's Oracle, and Thrasios. I would obviously ditch that. I would put Hullbreaker Horror in here. It's also running Consecrated Sphinx. I had to put that in here. There was no way I wasn't going to. And it's running 20, a little over 20 instants. I would immediately shave that down to put more creatures in the deck. Yeah. Also, no fetches. Just tried to keep it under the 500, close to 500 as possible. You're running your 1 Shockland. You're running Treasure Vault, just that way you have something to put all of your infinite colorless into to make the infinite colored mana to go through your deck with Kinnan. And that's about it. This is horrible if you're building Kinnan this far on a budget, because it's horrible. This deck, I would not play this deck in a tournament. I probably wouldn't sit down with this at my casual tables, because my casual decks, a couple of them I think are just objectively better than this.
Yep. Yeah, it's terrible. But speaking of bad, my last one, I've actually wanted to challenge myself to see if I could bring y'all a 3-color deck as a cEDH budget. It's called Time After Time with Tevet.
You're going to lose, of course, time after time.
Oh yeah. That's going to lose a lot. Now, of course, it does have the typical Time Sieve Tevet. It does have Demonic Consultation, Tainted Pact with Thoracle. Mm-hmm. It does have all of that. But it requires so much upgrade just to even catch up with other Tevets that's going to be in your pod, that you're just like, you might as well just stick this with the same person who decided to build a $500 cannon and just stick to high-powered cash.
Tevet is not a budget deck. If you're in 3 colors, your deck should be $1,000. If it's not, you're building it wrong. You're putting bad cards in your deck. And if you're putting bad cards in your deck because you can't afford the good cards, proxy the good cards. Most tournaments allow a certain number of proxies, or they'll allow proxies for reserve list cards.
Yeah. Like, there's a tournament that Spit plans on going to that actually does allow proxies for the reserve list cards. And there was one tournament we were supposed to go to, but due to weather, we decided not to. and that actually allowed, what was it, like up to 10?
No, they allowed an infinite amount
An
of
infinite
proxies.
amount.
They
So
said
it all just depends,
yeah,
like who
it
you
was
play with, like the
unlimited
shop.
amount of proxies.
Yeah. So I think the shop that wants to do cEDH nights every like one Saturday a month, I think they said they're open 100% proxies as well, just because they pretty much, like, honestly, this whole format, nobody cares if you play proxies, and for those who care that you play with proxies, just don't play with them.
Yeah.
Like, just play with someone else. Like we already said before on this channel. Just walk away. Respect their wishes of not wanting to play with proxies, and just walk away, and you won't have any issues with them. It's not that big of a deal. It's a simple solution.
If you're the kind of person that wants the reserve list cards but doesn't want to proxy, buy damaged.
Yeah.
Buy sleeve playable damaged cards, or just buy damaged and then just proxy them into your decks, and then you can prove that you own the card.
Or just abolish the reserve list.
Yeah, abolish the reserve list.
Just do that. But anyways, with this deck right here, like I said, you do have the typical, Demir style wins. You do have all the stack pieces. You have like Drana and Limvala. That's like really looked like ignored a lot in cEDH, which is just a great card to have.
I love it. I run it in my Kodama Timna deck. It's so good.
Yep.
I love it.
And it does have the typical Dauntless Dismantler, Archivist of Ogma. It does have Dothy Voidwalker, which is another way to disrupt breach line combos. And heck, you can even take them with Dothy if you wanted to. It does have the new Kumbal. I find that to be like a pretty neat addition, but at the same time, that's to keep it on a budget. You could always remove that with Mana Rocks or just better options when it comes to creatures, which one being Orcish Bowmaster. Like, speaking of Orcish Bowmaster, as long as it's legal to play in cEDH, Tibet should always have an Orcish.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Because your thing is, you could also force people to draw. You could add wheels. I believe this one actually has a windfall. So you could add that. That's 21 damage to someone's face if you want to target just one person. Or you could just get rid of all the pesky creatures such as Collector Oof. You could do that. This does have Lotho. It does have a Notion Thief too. So you can steal things. Just be careful. Spit mentioned that he put a Consecrated Sphinx in Kennen. And I know Cam from Play to Win plays Consecrated Sphinx in some of his decks. Mm-hmm. That actually has them in there.
Well, it's really just Tyler on Play to Win that plays it in his Kennen deck. That's why I wanted to put it in there, just because.
And it's really good. Like, it's a really good card, but if you're stealing someone's draw from Notion Thief, you have to draw it, because it's not a May ability.
Yeah.
You have to do it, so you could actually mill yourself. Like, it's pretty funny.
You will deck yourself. Also, if someone copies the Consecrated Sphinx, and you draw for turn, they get to draw 2 cards. Your Consecrated Sphinx will trigger, and you will draw 4. Then they will draw 8. You will draw 16. Any one of you can stop at any time, because they are May triggers.
I think Consecrated Sphinx is not.
Consecrated Sphinx is May. But, like, if you have a Notion Thief out, and they're going to steal draws from you, you decide whether you're taking those draws or not. So they draw your cards, then your Consecrated Sphinx saw that they drew cards, which you decide, okay, I'm going to take those draws, and then you can just eventually deck them out with Consecrated Sphinx if they don't kill their Notion Thief.
No, and it's a May ability, And this also has Talion. Like we mentioned, Talion's really good.
Talion's good. If you want to make it budget, just swap commanders out for Talion.
Yeah. And then it does Urza too, so it's one of those things where if you want to upgrade Urza into a different deck, this could be an option. Or like we said, Talion will probably be a better option anyways.
I'd put this Talion over Tivit.
Yeah, because Tivit, to me, it's a good commander, and I've seen people win with it super early on. But this is assuming you could get it out turn 2, and it's a 6 cost.
Mm-hmm. It's sick. That's why I
hefty.
Hate Tivit, because it's 3 colored pips and 3 uncolored pips.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't like that. I like as many colorless pips as possible.
Yeah. It's definitely hefty, but I think being the word 3,
it's the perfect
Joe
Lotus deck though. It's a really good Jeweled Lotus deck.
Oh yeah. So if you have a Jeweled Lotus in your like your collection, everything like that, then you could.
Oh, is it not in that
definitely
deck? Is it not in that deck?
Oh no, I kept it under 700.
See that's proof right there. That deck is horrible.
Yeah, I kept it under 700, and that is the reason why.
You need to have it. So first upgrade for that deck, Jeweled Lotus. Just
Jeweled
put
Lotus,
it in there.
yep.
Put it in
Yeah,
there.
you
You'll
stick
get
out
it
one
out.
of the.
You'll get Tivit out so much quicker with Jeweled
Yep.
Lotus. I put it in every single deck that has a colored pip and 2 colorless or more pips, just because it allows you to get the commander out way quicker. I did not put one in Kinnan because it's useless to put in Kinnan. It just becomes a Lotus Petal in Kinnan.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yep. But I mean, hey, you don't always have to run Jeweled Lotus if you don't want to, but you must. You must.
Yes.
Welcome cEDH, guys.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's actually everything that we wanted to go over. If you do like the video, like I said, like, subscribe, comment for the YouTube algorithm, and come follow us at U Commanders. Join in the giveaway. The giveaway will be lasting until May 31st, so you still have plenty of time to join, and you do have bonus opportunities if you subscribe and follow us there. Till next time, if it's your birth month, happy birth month. See ya.